Look into a mirror long enough and something shifts. Your face starts to feel like a stranger's. Your reflection blinks a half-second too late. Ancient cultures knew this. They covered mirrors when someone died. They turned them to face the wall. They warned their children never to stare too long into still water. They weren't superstitious. They were afraid. And somewhere in a private collection in Northern Europe, there is a mirror that may have proven them right. This is the story of the cursed mirror and what it did to everyone who owned it. We need to go back to where this begins. We need to go back to Venice, 1486, the height of the Renaissance, a city of extraordinary beauty and extraordinary darkness. Venice in the 15th century is the glass-making capital of the world. The island of Murano sits just off the main city, and on that island, glassmakers guard their secrets like soldiers guard a fortress. They are not allowed to leave. Their knowledge is considered a state secret. The penalty for sharing it with outsiders is death. Not imprisonment, death. These men know things about glass that no one else in Europe understands. How to make it clearer, how to make it thinner, how to make it reflect. And in 1486, one of them makes something he immediately regrets. His name is lost to history. What survives is a single line in a Venetian merchant's ledger. A mirror, commissioned, delivered, refused, and a note in the margin that translates roughly as, the maker would not say what he had done to it. The mirror passes to a Venetian nobleman. His name appears in court records 3 years later, not because of anything he did, because of what was done to him. He was found in his study having destroyed every piece of furniture in the room. He was not drunk. He was not ill. He could not explain what had happened. He said only that he had looked into the mirror and seen something behind his own face, something that was not him, something that had been waiting. He gave the mirror away the following morning. He refused to say to whom. Within a year, he was dead. The cause of death recorded, melancholia of an incurable kind. The mirror disappears from records for nearly 40 years. Then it surfaces again, this time in France, 1527. A Parisian art collector named Henri Brochard acquires it from a traveling merchant who claims to have bought it from a sailor who claims to have found it in a cargo hold with no documentation, no sender, no destination marked. Brochard is a rational man, educated, a friend of scholars. He does not believe in curses. He hangs the mirror in his receiving room because it is beautiful. Travelers who visit describe it in letters. Ornate silver frame, glass so clear it seems to have depth beyond the wall behind it. One visitor writes, "It does not merely reflect you, it studies you." Brochard begins keeping a journal 6 weeks after acquiring the mirror. The journal survives. It is held in a private archive and has never been fully published. Researchers who have read it describe a man slowly coming apart. In the first weeks, he writes of mild unease, a feeling of being watched, difficulty sleeping. By the second month, the entries grow stranger. He writes of hearing his own voice in empty rooms, of waking to find himself standing in front of the mirror with no memory of walking there. He writes, "I do not go to it. It calls me." In the third month, the handwriting deteriorates. The entries become fragmented, single sentences, some just words. His final entry reads, "It showed me the last day. I cannot unfeel it." Brochard was discovered by his servants catatonic, seated before the mirror. He never spoke again. He lived another 11 years in that condition. The mirror was removed from his home and sold to cover his debts. Here is where the story becomes harder to dismiss, because what happens next is documented not by one person, not by two, but by a chain of owners across 3 countries over 2 centuries, all describing variations of the same experience. The sensation of being watched from within the glass, dreams that feel like memories of things that haven't happened yet, a compulsion to return to the mirror that overrides reason, and in the most severe cases, a complete break with reality so sudden and so total that it leaves physicians of the era with nothing to write except cause unknown. By 1612, the mirror is in England. It belongs to a minor aristocrat in Yorkshire. His household accounts mention it twice. Once when it arrives, once when 3 of his servants refuse to clean the room. It is kept in, and he dismisses them all rather than move the mirror. He dies in 1619. His son inherits the estate, and in his very first letter to his solicitor, he writes that the mirror must be sold. He will not keep it in the house. He does not explain why. He says simply, "My father knew what it was and still he kept it. I will not make the same mistake. It is sold." And here the trail goes cold for nearly a century. Northern Germany. A physician named Dr. Albrecht Voss begins documenting what he calls a case of mirror-induced psychosis in a wealthy merchant's wife. The woman, referred to only as M in his notes, had been given an ornate Venetian mirror as a wedding gift. Within 4 months, she was exhibiting symptoms Voss had never encountered. She was not delusional in any conventional sense. She was lucid, articulate, and precise. But she insisted calmly and consistently that her reflection in the mirror was not synchronized with her movements, that it was operating independently, that it was trying to communicate something she could not yet understand. Voss initially dismisses this as anxiety. He prescribes rest. He visits again 6 weeks later. He finds her sitting before the mirror, perfectly still, in a room she is stripped of every other reflective surface, every window covered, every other mirror removed. She tells Voss, "If you look long enough, you will see it too. It is not a reflection. It is a window, and something is on the other side learning our faces." Voss takes the mirror. He intends to study it. In his first letter to colleagues, he is skeptical. In the second, written 2 weeks later, he is unsettled. He writes, "There is something in the quality of the reflection I cannot account for medically or optically. I am consulting a glassmaker." The third letter is the last he writes on the subject. He says only, "I have returned the mirror to the family and advised them to destroy it. They will not. I will not look into it again." The mirror is not destroyed. By the 19th century, it has passed through at least 7 more owners. The documentation becomes richer now because this is the age of newspapers, of published case studies, of public records. The mirror appears in the estate records of a Scottish family in 1834, a Belgian collector in 1857, and a London antiquarian in 1889. The antiquarian, a man named Edmund Ferrers, writes about it extensively. He is the first person to attempt to research its full history. He traces it back through Germany, through England, through France. He cannot get back past Venice. He contacts a historian in Murano who tells him something that stops his research entirely. The historian says that in Murano glassmaking tradition, there is a practice old and unofficial and never written down of embedding an object inside the glass during casting, usually something small, a coin, a relic, sometimes, in darker times, something else. Something the maker believed would give the mirror properties beyond reflection. Ferrers asks what kind of properties. The historian does not answer directly. He says only, "The old makers believed that glass could hold things, not just light. Things." Ferrers publishes none of this. His notes are found after his death in 1901. He has written across the top of his research in red ink, "Do not pursue this further." He apparently did not follow his own advice. His housekeeper reported that in the final months of his life, he spent entire nights in his study, that he began speaking to his own reflection, that toward the end he claimed the reflection had begun to speak back. The mirror disappears again after Ferrers' death. It does not surface publicly until 1973. A paranormal researcher in the Netherlands, investigating a report of a haunted object, is led to a private collector who will not give his name. The collector allows the researcher to examine the mirror but not to photograph it. The researcher describes it in his report. Ornate silver frame, unusual depth to the glass, a faint iridescence in certain light that he cannot explain optically, and something else. He writes that when he looks into it, he has a powerful and immediate sense that something on the other side of the glass is looking back. He ends his report with a note that is almost clinical in its understatement. "I examined the object for approximately 20 minutes. I have not slept soundly since. I do not recommend prolonged exposure." The collector keeps the mirror. He is reportedly still alive. He will not speak about it. So what is actually happening? There are rational explanations. Infrasound, low-frequency sound waves below human hearing, can cause feelings of unease, dread, and even visual disturbances, including the sensation that a reflection is behaving abnormally. Old mirrors with imperfect glass can create subtle distortions that the brain interprets as movement. Prolonged mirror gazing, a technique used in some psychological experiments, reliably produces dissociative experiences in healthy subjects within minutes. Faces begin to dissolve. Familiar features become strange. Some subjects report seeing other faces entirely. The brain, pushed past a certain threshold of repetitive visual input, starts generating its own information to fill the gaps. What you see in a mirror long enough is no longer entirely what is there. Some of it is you, some of it is your mind, and some of it perhaps is whatever the mind conjures when it is pushed to the edge of what it can process. But that does not explain the chain of owners, the consistency of symptoms across centuries and cultures and languages and medical traditions. The fact that people who did not know each other, who had never read each other's accounts, who lived in different countries in different eras, all described the same experience in the same terms. The sensation of something behind the face, the compulsion, the final break. Either this mirror carries something embedded in its glass that generates these effects physically, or it carries something else entirely, something the Murano glassmaker put there in 1486, something that has been in the glass ever since. Patient, watching, learning our faces. The mirror still exists, somewhere in Northern Europe, in a private collection, in a room where, if the researcher's account is accurate, the collector has removed every other reflective surface, every window covered, every other mirror gone. Just like M in 1714, just like Edmund Fares in 1901, the same instinct, the same conclusion. Keep it contained, keep it alone, and whatever you do, do not look too long. We were told not to pursue this further. We pursued it anyway. Make of that what you will.